We do appreciate you being here this Wednesday evening, being part of this study. I have been in the emergency room with Clarice all day and left her at the hospital to get home best way she could. No, I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's really gonna work for you.
I really doubt he said that.
We all heard you.
Well, y'all know better than that. No, they were hem-hawing around and they wasn't making up their minds. And finally, the surgeon wants to see her. So, the doctor was very nice and come in and said he thinks it's the gallbladder needs to come out. And so he said the surgeon wanted to see her before that, but they were going to keep her. Well, I went and talked to the nurse, and I said, I'm going to have to leave. I can't wait on that doctor. I said, but is she going to stay or is she going to leave? She said, she's staying. They just hadn't got a room for her yet. So that was it. So I knew I was going to come on. But just remember, she's been fine. She hadn't had anything to eat, so I know she's hungry. But she's been hurting and just kept hurting. Wasn't a whole lot of relief, but they gave her some good fentanyl. I told Ronnie, I said, they gonna drug up my wife.
I told him if I was a pastor, I would be telling people.
Fentanyl.
She'd be fine as soon as she got her drug fixed. He said he would not use that term.
I'll probably not use that term again. But anyway, she's gonna be okay. She just had to have something like me, just get it done, get it out. Anyway.
We started out 25 that way. Don't y'all start at 26 out.
Oh man, what it looks like we're gonna do. What it looks like we're gonna do. But anyway, I appreciate y'all coming. Because there's a lot of churches that we're not gonna have services tonight, but I thought, our church likes to have the services, so I don't like to call them off if I don't have to. Because I don't know what's going to happen Sunday. Saying the snow's going to come in. Now they've backed it to Friday. Is that right today? Saturday.
I haven't seen it.
And they said it would be snow, but in our area, they don't really know what we're going to do. So we'll see, and then we'll make a judgment call about that then. But just be alert. It is Channel 4 now. I got my bearings right. It is Channel 4 that we can put it on there and get it announced.
We saw it on Channel 7, but it said Sandy Springs First Baptist.
First Baptist, and that's correct.
Sandy Springs First Baptist?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, y'all.
Welcome back.
But we'll see what takes place, and we'll make a judgment call about then, and see.
Well, Pastor Eddie, I have my own communication person right here.
Okay. Yeah, you do, and I get it.
I follow her instructions.
We'll get it out the best way we can. And I'm telling you, this choir thing and the ladies class is one of the best things going, because you can hit one number and out it goes. It is a good thing. So I don't know what's going to happen, but if we can't. But I came over yesterday, and the sidewalk parking lot looked great around here. Oh, even over to the sanctuary, but that ramp don't look good. But everything else is good. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. You coming. And I'm tired, just to tell you the truth, but I think my brain will work. We'll see anyway. Have you ever been a little skeptical about this? Is John chapter 4. Last week we looked at the woman, Samaritan woman at the well, which is a very popular story, and we probably studied that several times, and I probably preached that sermon. one time. But there's one healing after this that doesn't get as much attention. But have you ever been a little skeptical of people who say they have healing powers and you need to come to them to get healed? Y'all ever been a little skeptical about that?
Yes, sir.
I have too. I've always been a little leery to follow it. Don't think that I don't believe in the spiritual gift of healing, because I do believe in the spiritual gift of healing. I believe there is that. And don't think that I don't believe in divine healing. I believe there is such thing as God's intervention of divine healing. Because I've seen it. I've seen it in lives when doctors have walked away from the room and said there's no hope. There's nothing we can do. We have exhausted everything that can be done. And perhaps you have stories like that too. And God steps in and He heals that person to live on several years past what they would have lived. I've seen it happen. So I believe in divine healing. I believe that God can do healing. But what gets me is that people who think they have the spiritual gift of healing call people to come to them to be healed. That's why I'm a little skeptical. They're coming to them to be healed. It's like they have the gift of something special, and they can only be healed if they touch them. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Everyone in here pretty well has been to that age group that we've seen preachers through the years have the crusades of divine healing. So you know it's there, and you understand that. Well, what we see here tonight in this passage of Scripture in John 4, and it starts with verse 43 and goes through 54, and you probably not going to be as familiar with this healing process, but I think it's unique that it parallels with the woman at the well. I think it's unique that it parallels with the first sign of the miracle of changing water into wine. Oh, by the way, how many of you have watched Channel 7 Sunday morning in the worship service at 11 o'clock? Anybody here watch Channel 7? It's First Baptist Church, Spartanburg.
We over here.
I didn't go there. I watched them on TV. They wasn't there either. When I saw it on the news thing that they had called services off, I said, oh my goodness. But they came back to do a service they'd done several years ago that was one of the most popular ones they did. And you know what the scripture was that they used? The scripture that they used Sunday was what we did in chapter 2 when Jesus changed the water into wine. And it was very good. He did a good job. I had not heard that preacher preach, so I got to hear him preach. And their pastor, I think he'd been there now probably 2 years better. But he's very dynamic and very creative. Very good speaker. But anyway, that's that particular sign is the first one that John, the apostle, writes and said, this is the first sign that Jesus did. This is the first miracle that he did of his power to change the situation. Well, we have that same thing right here. Right here in chapter 4, we have the same thing that's going on right here. Because what I want you to see tonight is that God determines what is right, which it may or may not be what our request is. How many times have you prayed and you've asked God to do certain things and that request doesn't get answered? Right? And so what happens? There's a challenge there that goes on between our faith and believing that God can really do something supernatural, or He can't do something supernatural, but it may not be God's will what their request is. You see what I'm talking about? And so he has that right to determine that. And we need to understand he's God and we not. To tell you bluntly. And so this is where we have to trust him. And I'm not sure we understand trust as the way the Bible presents trust to us. I'm not sure that we understand it to the fact that if we trust him, we bring it to him, and what's the song say? Leave it there. But how many of you pick it back up? Correct? So, do we really trust him? That's the challenge. Boy, this story hits the bullseye. This story right here hits the bullseye and showing this right here, that God determines what's right and that we have to trust him. And these are totally different characters, different being the Samaritan woman in the first 40-something verses of this chapter, and this nobleman that we're going to meet here in just a moment in these verses in chapter 4 as well. But now remember Galilee is a region, and it's to the north. Judea is the south. And remember that Samaria is a region, and it's right in the middle. We talked about this in a long time last week to be able to do that. But here in this chapter, I want you to see what happens when we come back to this part. Because Jesus makes a return visit to Galilee. Look at what he said in verse 43. Now after 2 days, he departed from there and went to Galilee. Now, he departed from Jerusalem, departed from Judea, and he's going back to Galilee, but he does not have to go around Samaria, because he had already gone through Samaria to get to Galilee, and that's the shortest distance to be able to get there. And so he doesn't have to go around it. He had a divine appointment there in Samaria to be able to do that. But now he is making his trip again back up to Galilee, which the Sea of Galilee exists up in the northern area, and from Judea, which is a region as well, which is the south. So he's going back up that way, and you think he's not going to go through Samaria again? He went through it the first time. What would stop him from doing it again? So he's going to go through there again. So I want you to see what happened here when he makes his return visit. Remember what he did was at Canaan in Galilee. Galilee's the region, remember? Canaan was with the feast, and it was a smaller town. I'm going to say it's probably bigger than Williamston and Pelzer, all right? But Canaan was a big place, or a bigger place than that, but it wasn't a huge place that everybody didn't know everybody. And so when Jesus would have gone to the wedding and changed the water into wine, how many people would know in Canaan what he had done? Everybody. Everybody heard about it. It was the talk of the town. It was the talk of the town and what all had taken place. And so with that, what's the word I want to use here? He made a big hit, but he was able to serve them to the best way because they believed him. Now, when the Samaritan woman went back to the people there in Samaria and told them this could be the Christ, that's what she asked. She said, "Is this the Christ who's come? He told me everything about myself." And it says, Scripture says, some of them believed. And then it comes on down, when they went out to see Jesus, they followed her out there to wherever the well was, and to see him and hear him for themselves and see them. It says in that verse 42 that whenever they saw this, they believed that he was indeed Christ, the Savior of the world. That's what everybody has to come to the conclusion to do, to have Jesus into their heart. We have to come to the point where we say, we know that he is the Christ, the Son of the living God. We know that he's the Savior of the world. We know that. To know is to know him intimately. To be able to know him in such a way, in such a fashion, that we not only believe he is, but we know he is. And that's what these verses are talking about. So, when he says that he had departed from there and went to Galilee, he's going back to the region and around where he was before. And it says in verse 45, so when he came to Galilee, the Galileans received him. Y'all know what that means? They were excited. They were excited he'd come back to their town. They were excited that he made his return visit. They knew something was up. They knew something was going to take place. And so they received him because they had received him before. They believed in him before. And so now we can almost see a joyous occasion even going on here at this time around in the region of Galilee, because they received him. Having him seen all the things that he had done, they believed him and they wanted to follow him. Nobody wanted to miss it. Now, I'm trying to remember if there was some movies that were popular enough that would draw our attention. And I guess the greatest movie of all time, in what I have seen in my years past, is Where the Red Fern Grows. Anybody ever seen that movie? Where the Red Fern Grows. Man, I saw that. I took a group of children to see it at the Belvedere Movie Theater in Anderson when I was at Eastview with Music and Youth. We did that for a day camp in the summer. And we went over there to see that movie. And man, was I blessed by that movie. I wanted everybody to know about that movie. You know what? I've got that movie at home. Because I have watched it several times. I love that movie. I come out of there, boom.
I tell you what, the best one I've ever seen, I preached to the theater, coast of interstate, went and saw The Passion.
The Passion. Passion was a great movie, and I think it was probably one of the greater movies of all time as well, because it left you with what the thought, didn't it? Whether you're going to believe it or not. And so, this is what's going on here. There's a celebration almost, or the air of celebration, because they received him, because they had seen all the things he had done in Jerusalem at the feast. You know, the feast was the wedding, remember? Where he changed the water into wine. For they also had gone to that feast. So, the whole town had flocked to that feast. So, can't you imagine? They hear, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. What happens to the people in the city? They're going out to meet him. They're going out not just to receive him, but to accept him. So he was a celebrity in town. He was a person they wanted to be around. He was a person they wanted to follow. He was a person that they wanted to see. And their belief in him, because he had done that sign, that wonder of changing the water into wine, because he had done that and he had helped those people at a very difficult time to change the whole situation, to change the whole format. When they saw that, these people not only were seeing things with their eyes, but they was easy for them to believe. See, when we see something take place, then we can believe that it can happen. Can't we?
Yeah.
And so this is where we are in this story. This is where we are in chapter 4. We're the place that happened to do that. But we will understand from this that there will be days when human expectations come into play. What Jesus does and how he does it may not come up to our expectations. Y'all get what I'm talking about? our expectations sometimes fall short of what Jesus does. We expect him to do it, don't we? Because we believe in him. Right? So we expect that he's going to take care of the problem and the situation at that time. What if he doesn't? What's going to happen to your belief then? What's going to happen to your faith then? You see what I'm talking about? There's a clash. There's a clash because what happens is, does he have sovereign power? Can he change the situation? Absolutely. Absolutely. You sure can. So, people are stirring and moving toward him. Now let's get the plot. You ready? I've set the ground. So let's get the plot out. Verse 46. So Jesus came again to Cana of Galilee. Same place. People were excited. And there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick in Capernaum. Now Capernaum was about 20-something miles away. And that day, it would take you 3 days to walk it, 2 days in a chariot. Okay? And so, he came from there. But what is a nobleman? Anybody know what a nobleman is?
Royal official.
You got a Bible reference.
King James Only.
Do I?
Someone high up with power.
Very good. Very good. Very good. That's noble. One commentary told me that this could be the son of a king. I'm not going to debate that. It could be. And another commentary told me it could have been a religious official. And I'm not going to debate that either. It could be. But what it does come down to is it's somebody with higher power, higher authority. It's somebody who was well off. It's somebody who was well off to do that. So he has this encounter with this, we do know is from the Greek word, it is a royal official. Now whether he was the king's son, or whether he was just a top servant of the king, or whether he was a top official within the religious sect, we don't know. But what we do know is that he was high up. He was a royal official. So when people looked at him, they watched what he did. They watched what he did. And it tells us, the writer John drops back and says, when he came, that he came because his son was sick at Capernaum. Now, he might have been on a trip to Canaan, on a business trip. We don't know. He could have been. He could have been on business. Or he could have made a special trip because he might have heard from there that Jesus was coming back and his son's sick. That makes sense, doesn't it? Anyway, he made his way back to Canaan. He made his way back there from Capernaum to Canaan, and he came specifically to see Jesus. Now, don't think for a moment that anybody's going to get in his way because he's on a mission. You ever seen that look in people's eyes? You ever watch? I love basketball. How do I know that? Especially North Carolina Tar Heels basketball. And I love to watch whenever a player ignites with fire in his eye. You can see it. You can't stop it. It looks like they dribble right around, run around, and leave their defender standing just flat on his feet. It's an amazing thing to watch when one of the players gets that fire in his eye, when he's on a mission. And I've seen it happen over and over again. Well, this nobleman this high official, this person of authority, this person who was wealthy, would have been noticed. They would have been looking at him because they knew where he was from, or would have known. And they were watching him. And when he's on a mission, he's coming straight to Jesus. Ain't nothing going to slow him down. Nobody's going to stop him, jump in front of him. Ain't no deacon, no apostle going to jump out and say, whoa, you can't do that. No, he's on a mission. You're not going to stop him. And so he's on a mission. He said, verse 47, when he heard that Jesus had come from Judea to Galilee, he went to him, and look at what he says. He implored him. Now, what's that word mean? Begged. Pleaded. Almost demanded. Relentlessly. He was begging. Why would he be begging? Was he begging because he was a high official?
Because he was the father and his son was dying.
Son was dying. He wasn't coming as a high official now, was he? He was on a mission. And his mission was for Jesus to keep his son alive. That was his mission. So he's coming to him, and he lost all this pride. He lost all this integrity. And he comes to beg, to plead relentlessly for Jesus to come and heal his son. Look at what he said. Come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. See, he laid everything aside. Nothing else was important to him at this point. His important thing was to be able for Jesus to come to his house, to come from Cana, to come to Capernaum, and to be able to go in and do whatever he needed to do to heal his son so he would not die. He was sick. What does this tell you? Paint the scenario. What does it tell you? You know what the doctors have said? There's no hope. We've done all we can do. He's going to die. Because that's what he says. He's at the point of death. They backed away from the table. They left it there. And what was the only hope that this man had? A miracle. He needed to see God do what God could do. So here comes your clash. He comes asking for him to come to his house to touch his son, perhaps, so that he could be healed. Now, let's look at what Jesus said and done with that. His response was a strong rebuke. Look what he said. I love this statement. Then Jesus said to him, verse 48, unless you people see signs and wonders, you will by no means believe. Now, what had he done in Cana? His first sign was changing the water into wine, right? Remember when he come to his mother, or his mother came to him. He was invited to come to the wedding, and when they ran out of wine, the mother of Jesus came to him and said they have no wine. And then Jesus said to her, woman, remember we talked about that. Woman, what does your concern have to do with me? Now, understand, if I called my mother woman, my daddy would have knocked me, would not have asked any question, would not have hesitated to knock me 2 blocks up the street.
My bell would still be ringing.
Would not have hesitated. Woman. To us, that's a derogatory word. But to them, it was not. It was addressing her with who she was. When he says woman, he's addressing her as the proper way to dress her. Address her. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to look at Clarice and say woman. Now, I might look at her and say, woman, you are pretty. But I don't know if there's any other thing that go with that, okay? But anyway, we see that happen. We see that took place. But look at what his mother did in verse 5. His mother said to the servants, whatever he says to you, do it. And she left. Now, let's look at Mary just a minute before we go back to the novel. Mary believed that her son could do a miracle, did she? But did she trust her son to do the miracle? By what he said. What do you think?
No doubt.
She did.
I think she did too.
Think she did? Because why? Why do you think she did?
He'd already turned water into
Huh?
wine. He'd already turned water into wine, so she knew that, you know.
No, right, I didn't, right here.
Oh, here.
Turning the water into wine.
She-
Why did she trust him? She believed him, but did she trust him?
Yeah.
She trusted him? Why?
Because that was her son for that.
Well, that's good.
God chose her to be his mother. So, I mean, her belief from the very beginning.
Pretty good, Miss Jane. I mean, wouldn't you have to be pretty strong in your faith to carry a child that
Yeah.
God had given you?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Never been with a man before, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Gabriel had already told her who she said.
Exactly. And so could she trust Jesus to do the right thing? Correct?
I don't think she would have expected anything else.
I don't think she would have
Good.
doubted. I don't think she would have doubted.
Good.
Right.
Good. So there's no wrestling going on there.
No.
All right. Now let's come back. Let's come to the nobleman now. Let's come back over to chapter 4 where we are. And Jesus just rebuked him, saying, unless you people see signs and wonders, you will by no means believe. In other words, it's just like a bunch of Gentiles that we had to have signs to be able to believe. You know, like we have on our road, beware, curve ahead.
Nobody sees those.
Do what?
Nobody sees those.
I don't think they believe those at all.
They don't believe them.
A lot of people don't stop at stop signs either.
Well,
Here.
we might better get off that one. That was a poor illustration.
He must have been one of them.
Poor illustration.
Step on their toes.
So, well, unless you see signs and wonders, you will by no means believe. Jesus is challenging his faith to trust him. He can do the same thing with us. When we come to him with a request, he may very well challenge our faith to trust him. You get it? Pretty strong lesson here, isn't it? Look at what it said. Verse 49. Again. Man had pleaded, he had begged, he had dropped any authority that he had. Somebody said it a while ago, he probably just demanded that he would come. The nobleman said to him, "Sir, come down before my child dies." Wow. He wasn't going to give up. He wasn't going to quit. Now, I want you to remember, God is always at work around us. I love experiencing God, and I want to do experiencing God with this church. I'm looking at a Bible study that has come out with it now that might be a little bit different, that we could have a few more people. We do experiencing God. We can only take about 10 at a time, but I love it. The first biblical principle we have in experiencing God is always at work around us. Whether you believe that or not, it is true. God is always working around us. If we open our eyes, we will see His work. We will recognize what He's doing. If we believe in God and trust in God, then we can do that. But He's always at work around us. And the thing about Jesus is that Jesus is in tune with where He's at work. Why? Why? Because He's the Son of God. He should be in tune, shouldn't He? He should be in tune where God is working. And so He's always in tune with that. And so we recognize that. I'm not going to assume that Jesus this man thought that Jesus had magical powers. I don't believe that's what he's looking for. But I think he did think that he had to come to his house, that he had to be present to be able to touch his son, to be able to heal him. I do think that. I think that's the whole crutch of the matter. I really do. And Jesus had already put his finger on the point. And this man says, "Come down, please, before my son dies." Can't you see this humbling spirit come through him at this point? I don't have any other hope. I'm at the end of my rope. There's nothing else I can do.
Well, he didn't believe it.
Do what?
If he didn't believe he could do it, then he wouldn't have gone to see him.
Wouldn't have gone to see him the first time, probably, yes. But we can believe, you can believe and not trust. And that's where we got to come to. That's where we got to keep our eyes open and recognize this nobleman to do that. And he could have very well been a Jew. He could have very well been a half-breed. He could have very well been a Gentile. We do not know, do we? He just says he's a nobleman. So it actually represents everybody, doesn't it? And he said, "Sir, come down before my child dies." And Jesus looks at him. Now, I don't know what this way Jesus looked at him. I think that it was a very strong look and a look of grace, a look and a way that comes across very strong here. Because look at what he says. "Go your way, your son lives." Now remember, I think you're right, Miss Betty. I believe he believed that he could do it. But did he trust him?
Well, you know, it's like the song says, you gotta trust and
Do
obey.
what?
You gotta trust and obey.
Trust and obey. That's
That's what
correct.
the song says.
That's
You gotta
correct.
trust him.
That's correct.
He did trust him.
That's
Otherwise
correct.
He wouldn't have, or rather walked where he's going on.
Well, you read ahead.
We know the story, don't we?
Put a cart before the horse.
So, it says, the man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him. Now, I don't know how Jesus looked at him, but this nobleman knew he had directed it straight at him, doesn't he? He understood what he said, which is a little bit more than just believing. He understood his word to be true because Jesus told him, go your way. Your son lives. Now y'all ready for the punchline? Now, since Tony put it out there,
You asked.
Make her leave her Bible.
so the man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him, and he went his way. You know what that means? He didn't go straight back home.
It was 20 miles from home.
You know what that means? He believed it enough to continue doing whatever he came to Canaan to do before he would return to Capernaum. Now that's not just believing, that's trusting. Because he went his way. He went on to do what he was doing. He went on to complete his job, whatever he had come for. Evidently, he believed when Jesus said, your son lives, that Jesus had the power. He didn't have to be present. He didn't have to touch him. But Jesus had the power to heal his son. And he went on his way. Same thing Mary did at the wedding at Cana. She said, whatever he does, or whatever he says to you, do it. And she left. Now, whether we think the woman might have been a bad, crude way to start the sentence there, it probably was for us. But for Mary, she knew what her son said. And she believed and trusted that he would do the right thing. And what did he do? He changed the water into wine. So,
But Eddie, don't you think this nobleman had some reservations and doubts too? Because when it says, when his servants came to tell him that his son was alive.
let's look at that.
Okay.
Let's look at that. Let's visit that. Okay? Let's visit that. Because I don't know that this man wanted him to heal his son on his terms. He wanted his son healed. I don't think he thought beyond that. He just wanted to see his son live. I mean, I would. I would want the same thing. I'd want the same thing for son. I'd want the same thing for my grandson. My beautiful granddaughter.
Just a punctuation on the last sentence, the man said that Jesus, before he healed his son, shows the urgency of what he thought.
Yeah. He spoke. He believed what he spoke was true, which is more than believing, because he put action to his feet. He trusted it. You see, when we get to the point where we not only believe him, I mean, James writes and says, you know, you believe in God, so do the demons believe in God. So we get to the point in our life that we say, yeah, I believe in God. And everybody in this room would say that. That's easy to say when we see things. Right? But how about when we have to really believe and trust that he will do what he says he will do? And Jesus said, what? Your son. What?
Your son lives.
Your son lives.
and he asked when that happened, and it was the day before.
Yeah.
And obviously
Yeah.
it was when he was.
Yeah. There you go. See that now? Look at it, look at it, look at it. And now he was going down. Okay, he's going home. And his servant met him and told him, saying, your son lives. Oh yeah? And here's where you come in, Tony. Did he have that? Look at what he said. Look at what he said. And he inquired to them the hour when he got better. Y'all gonna do the same thing. Don't tell me you wouldn't. He was checking in to see when it was. He wanted to verify when Jesus said that it happened. That's human thinking. However, this guy believed and he trusted God, and because this nobleman believed and trusted God, he went his way, and on his way, his servant met him and said, your son lives. Don't you see the excitement in the servant coming to the nobleman and telling him, hey, 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 it's reversed. It's reversed. He lives. And then, Tony, since you jumped ahead, then he inquired the hour when he got better, and they said to him, yesterday at the 7th hour the fever left him. That's when he was healed. That's when Jesus spoke the word, your son lived. And it took place. He didn't have to be present, and he didn't have to touch him. That's divine healing. And that's on God's terms, not the nobleman's terms. So, did he have doubt?
I think so, somewhat.
What happened whenever the servant told him this?
He believed.
You think he believed?
Yeah.
Not exactly, because he wanted to know when it happened. He wanted,
What's the hour?
yeah.
What's the hour?
It's
He-
just some other miracle by, that he was gonna get well anyway, or did Jesus really do it?
So did Jesus really do it?
Yeah.
So the Father knew that it was in the same hour when Jesus said to him, your son lived. He knew it then. Now what that word knew, what that mean to us? He fully understood it. He got the full scope of it. Jesus is the Son of God. He is the Son of God. He is the Christ. He does have that power. He don't have to be present. He can do it from a distance. All he has to do is what? How did God create heaven and earth?
Spoke it into existence.
Huh?
He spoke it into existence.
How did he create everything else? Could he not speak and heal somebody? So he, at this point, Tony, oh yeah, I'll change my notes, I'm sorry. So he himself believed.
And his house. Sorry, I didn't mean to get into it.
See? I was coming there. He believed. He believed this. You think when somebody would ask him from now on, do you believe in God? You know what his answer would be?
Absolutely. Yes.
Why?
He healed my son.
He healed my son.
Yeah.
Don't you think that was his testimony? Absolutely. Absolutely. And so he himself believed, and what's this? He shared it with his whole house. And everybody in his house believed because this nobleman said, this man healed my son. I'm a believer. Are you a believer?
believe. I believe. And then it looks like 54. John sums it up to us. This again is the second sign that Jesus did when he come out of Judea into Galilee. So 2 times in Galilee, Jesus does 2 signs to give proof that he's Son of God. Now, when you're studying, I got to stop, okay? When you're studying, I didn't get to preach Sundays, okay? I got to make up for it. Just give me a thing. When you see it with your eyes, when you hear it with your ears, and you recognize in your heart, how hard is it to trust him?
Not if you believe. I
Yeah.
think you trust if you believe.
Got to trust. So it starts with belief. It starts with belief, and it comes to trust. Uh-oh, that was the last one, but okay. Oh, no, I did have one more. I thought I did.
See what's happening to you without clothes
That
being
was
here?
how
Yeah.
to believe in
Kept
him
him straight.
Yeah.
and to trust in him describes a saving faith. And that's where we need to be. I love this story. I love the woman, the Samaritan woman at the well too. This story sort of gets sheltered in there, doesn't it? But boy, does it come up. Yeah, begin to speak volumes to us. Because we have to learn to trust what he says he will do. So when we read God's promises in his word, y'all, I didn't even use my notes. I guess I needed to.
Second for Sunday.
I think I was getting prepared for a long time.
I had gotten no further than page 2 in my notes. So.
Let me
That's
tell you
exactly where it comes in.
Something.
Yes.
A girl I worked with in Michelin many years ago, his daughter was in a horrible accident, I think on 85 maybe. And she had broken her back. And she insisted that there was somebody with white, she saw arms with white sleeves on it, moving her from one place to the other in the car. And there wasn't, of course. But she insisted, I saw somebody, saw arms with white something on, moving me from one place to the other. And she always believed that. Exactly.
Would you believe that? That she saw it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
When we see something, it's pretty easy for us to believe.
right.
But to believe and trust is an issue that we challenge with. Don't you think? We get challenged with that.
You know, it's been quite a few years now. I had to go have a mammogram, and they come back and said, "You're gonna have to go have check this out." You know, the surgeon. So I told Mars, and we prayed. And I said, "You know, this can't be it. You know, this is not time for all this to happen." Well, I went in. How much I trusted the Lord. I went into there, and they did I was going to do another check, you know. And the nurse says, "Well, are you sure?" They said there's something wrong with you. I said, "Yeah, I wouldn't be over here if it wasn't, you know." And she said, "Well, I can't see anything." But she said, "Oh, you know what? I want to call the doctor in here because 4 eyes is better than 2. The doctor come in there and did the same thing she was doing, and she says, "Miss Barbara, I don't see a thing. I don't know what happened. It was there, you know." And I looked up at her and I said, "Well, I know what happened." I said, "The Lord took it away, you know."
Yeah,
And
and I
she said,
believe,
"Well, I believe that." She said,
I
"I
believe
definitely,
in
this is
divine
a
healing. I
good
believe
example
that.
right here."
Absolutely,
Cause it was there, she said.
absolutely.
And
This is a,
you talk, I had a friend of mine, he was dead, he's gone now, but he took a picture, where I school at, he took a picture of a tornado. The picture had Jesus inside the tornado,
in a tornado.
had Jesus in there.
Well, let me ask you this, do you think that God protected us this weekend?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, in my prayer.
I mean, by what the forecast was.
But all those people that were out of power and still out tonight,
They wondered,
do they trust in the?
did they trust him?
Oh,
I still believe that God is in the business of miracles, and I still believe He does that. But it doesn't happen on our terms. It didn't happen on another one's terms. And we have to learn how we trust that. That God sees a bit further than we do. And that people, why they're without that power, I have no idea. I don't know why it struck those places so hard. But that storm was moving so much, they could not pinpoint that thing. And y'all know as well as I do, it can move one little point and change everything of what it does. And we saw this with Helene. We saw it.
And you know, they say, you know, I can't believe the weather forecast. They don't have nothing to do with the weather
It
forecast.
doesn't have anything to do with it.
They don't.
God is
The Lord
still
can
in
change
control of
anything
it.
from One
God
minute
is
to
still
another.
in control of it.
That's right.
It can still move it. They say that thing can move in and out. And that's true, it can. It can. Because who works the steering wheel?
That's right. Yeah,
So, this is a good lesson, isn't it?
yeah. Gotta trust
To
it.
be able to hear, to be able to understand. Well, y'all, a lot of things have happened since last Wednesday that we met. Kim Campbell has now gone back to Roger C. Peace. Oh,
This camera's still on.
thank you. Can you cut that thing off? Can you cut it off for me?
yeah, that man could, sure enough.
I'll cut it off, but you never be able to turn it back on.